When I'm thinking about my work, I often think of the things as being material languages. I'm interested in phrases and how these relate to the way we treat or understand materiality or materials. My name is Josephine Baker and I'm an artist from Wandsworth in southwest London. My residency has been obviously during the pandemic. I kind of knew from the very beginning that this residency was going to be a lot to do with kind of almost staying put and focusing on being in London and trying to kind of hone in on some of the qualities of the city that I almost take for granted. London is a place that it's very architecture, it's very permanence, it's based on impermanence. In the past I've been focusing on construction sites, spaces in transition that are somewhat impenetrable or will never be the same again. I wanted to make these sculptures of excavators or digging tools or tools that at the same time are being used in London, but then also maybe a chainsaw that's being used to cut down a tree that's being used for the hoarding that's going to be surrounding the construction site to close it off from public view or public access. I wanted to make these mountainscapes out of offcuts from hoarding. So the idea of hoarding boards being a frontier or being a kind of space of, you know, if you wanted to climb over them, you would have to kind of really scale this wall, and then relating it to, there's loads of security companies that use the kind of metaphor of mountain, so like mountain security. I'm interested in the sculptures having the possibility or being able to be kind of a bit more free from a singular notion of landscape, trying to bring in multiple scales, bringing multiple materials, different kinds of associations and meanings, different perspectives. So I guess it's like, yeah, I like this idea that it goes back to like, you know, the work is questioning you, the viewer, and like what perspective are you looking at something from? And questioning, you know, the role of romanticism in all of this and how, you know, romanticism has a very tenuous and troubled and difficult relationship to nationalism and how we think about borders. I use mostly standardised materials, mostly like industrially produced. Everything I use is really trying to escape the properties of the newness that it might have been imposed upon it during its production process. It would be too romantic to say that it's about reconciliation, but with this kind of original space where it would have existed as a tree or in the landscape as rock or as mud. But I'm interested in that romantic association of return and the fact that it is an impossible thing. What do you do? Do you kind of treat this standardized material almost like an entropy, like the only way is for it to kind of disintegrate, or do you use it to build images of a world that feels more accurate to the way it actually is? It's almost like this kind of microclimate in the studio, like things kind of come in, they go out, they change, but everything is kind of maintained as a world.